He's going to learn about the Big Boy Runner Club, though. I can't wait for that. Chris been killing.
Yeah, I wanted you guys in the live audience to hear some of the shenanigans that go on behind the scenes. I wasn't telling you guys they were on live. I was just letting them talk. But I mean,
the best show pre and post.
Oh, yeah. We're going to create a Patreon for the pre and post show. Get access to that. $9.99.
Redbone. That's where he got that nickname, huh?
Redbone. We used to carpool together to football practice.
Oh my God! Had to take them salt tablets to make weight.
Yeah, weigh-ins. Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, it's time to drop that music. We got a busy show. Okay, before we jump into everything, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services put out some guidelines for sports. They still say it's not cool to play football and basketball, but some of the lesser contact sports they say are fine to play. These are just guidelines. The state positivity counts are dropping down. A lot of things are happening. There's live sports going on all over the place. Where do you think we are right now, Dale? You're the COVID guy. Where do you think we are right now?
So, but my first thing is if with that, why can't the NCHSAA let all these other fall sports go ahead and roll right now? That's my thought. Is Joe, go ahead and let them get out and do it. So the cross.
Well, we got a question later on in the show. We're going to let you and Gary go ahead and answer that question. Everybody stay tuned. We got a really busy show today. We got 6 fresh faces. We got Kenzie. We got Chris's Corner, coach versus coach. But before we begin with all the football stuff, I want to talk about an incident that happened in Rock Hill, and I'm going to bring in my man Jamie Shaw as soon as he gets back to his. Are you ready, Jamie? Nod your head if you're ready. All right, here we go. Jamie Shaw, Absolute Basketball, my man, goes to every AAU tournament that's ever played in North and South Carolina and Georgia and everywhere else. How you doing, Jamie?
Man, I'm good. I hope everybody else is doing all right too.
Doing well. I wanted to ask you about what happened in Rock Hill, and I'm going to try to put the video up if I can get it correctly, but I just want to kind of get your thoughts on what you saw out there.
Well, for the whole weekend, I mean, it was an incredible event. Sean Williams on the Radar Hoops, based out of Georgia, came up. This was his first event in the Carolinas, and it was an unbelievable full event. It was probably the best event the Carolinas has had. Probably the Southeast has had, accumulation of talent-wise, this entire summer. They had top players coming in all the way from, Alabama, up north in Virginia, West Virginia, down to Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. The list goes on. Incredible atmospheres, incredible talent, all that type of stuff too. Just a very unfortunate incident happened that shut the whole thing down.
Yeah, I mean, we understood there was something maybe with one of the parents and another gentleman in the audience, and it just kind of got out of hand. It kind of gives something that was pretty good a bad name, don't you think?
I would hope not. I would hope that people see this, understand that this was 10 minutes out of an entire weekend of stuff that happened that had nothing to do with not only the event that was being played, but that was a specific standoff situation between, I guess, 2 teams, 2 parents, 2 groups of people that came together, and that just happened to be where it was at over what it was over. I certainly hope that does not shed any negative light onto the incredible good that was happening throughout the weekend.
Man, I saw a lot of posts on Twitter from a lot of organizations that I really respect saying that Sean Williams, the guy who puts on that event, does a really good job. All those events are positive. And, you really can't control what happens no matter if you're running the event or Rick Lewis, your former co-workers running the event, or Sean. You guys can't really control this. It's not like it just happened at Sean's event, right?
Oh, without question. I mean, there have been events from other companies this summer in that exact facility with fights that happened that had to end games and all that type of stuff, 2-3 weeks ago. It happens every event, in running events. As I said, for the last 7 years, over 100 of them, we've had numerous fights, melees even, numerous times a day and stuff that's happened. And, I guess in this day of social media, this type of stuff kind of happens. But, there were coaches everywhere, college coaches, D2s and D3s that can now be out. They were all over the place on every court. I counted at one time on the arena court, when I was there filming as well, there were 32 cameras, either video cameras, media cameras, around that one court. That's just that one court, not including the rest of them too. Scouts and all that type of stuff as well. Like I said, it was an unbelievable weekend of talent, kind of, to end the season off with a bang. This was a lot of kids' very last time that they'll be playing AAU. I guess I could call it travel basketball. This is the very last time that they were able to play travel basketball and stuff, and it's a very shame that it had to end, in something that's outside of their hands.
Jamie, I've had a lot of experience with AAU basketball as far as being from the parent perspective, where I had a child that played AAU basketball, and we were going to these type of events. And then also being a former head coach, I also would go see my own players play. And I noticed year after year, the conduct at these games got a lot more extreme from the parents, either directed at coaches or officials or other parents. What do you think is leading to all these confrontations at AAU events that you don't typically see at a high school game?
Well, first off, before I jump in, Gary, I want to say it's nice to meet you. I haven't met you formally before, but your reputation is, awesome and stuff too. So it's nice to meet you and talk with you here as well. So I wanted to say that before I jumped in. But on the AAU side of things, I don't know. High school, you go and you get two games. You get a girls' game, you get a boys' game. Sometimes you get a quad with JV stuff as well. But this is people for 3 days, going from 8 a.m. until 10:30 p.m., playing against uncommon opponents that they don't know, and all that type of stuff. 9 courts going at one time. When you have just one court going on at one time, there's a lot of different factors going in. I don't want to sit here and point the finger at any one situation, but I guess just law of averages states that anytime you have more of something, that things are bound to happen.
Do you think there was enough security there? You think that had anything to do with it, or do you see these things building over time, or is it just a spark and something that happens and things just get out of hand? Do you think these things can be prevented in any way?
I don't. I think when you have a grown-up who's wanting to do what a grown-up wants to do, that grown-up's going to do what that grown-up wants to do. We've had, I've hosted events. I've run events where we've had no security before. Hosted events where we had limited security. Hosted events where we've had lots of security and stuff. And the fights have happened at all of them. The same amount of bickering, the same amount of arguing and yelling has happened at all of them. It's just I don't know if there's anything that could have prevented this from happening. Granted, more security. If you have a security detail for every single person that walks through the door, obviously things will happen less. But if you saw that video, the security guard in the video didn't really provide much help anyway. In that thing too. So I mean,
But it's one of him, and there's a million of everybody else. I mean, he's in a tough situation.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's always a tough situation too. But I don't know that necessarily that any more, any less, or anything like that would have happened, because I've been to Sean Williams events. This is the third one I've been to this year. Obviously, there hasn't been any melees like that before that shut everything down. As I said, there was a fight. This is the second fight that I've seen personally at this Rock Hill Sports facility this summer.
Right.
They didn't shut the event down. So I'm not sure what was different about this one.
Yeah,
I think just witnessing some of these things before, it's two factors that go into it. It's a sense of entitlement that, hey, my kid we've paid all this money to travel here. We pay these fees to enter the tournament, and then my kid is not getting enough playing time. Or number two, this is my kid's last shot at earning a scholarship. All these coaches are here, and my kid is not playing well, or the official is not calling the game the way my kid can excel, or my kid is not getting the playing time. And I think the frustration just boils up in the comments that parents make to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Lewis posted today, my buddy, the guru, Rick Lewis, Jamie's old coworker, that we need to work on our profanity, our language at high school basketball games, because it is bad. I mean, and you hear it, Jamie, it's bad. And I really think we need to try to work on that. And hopefully incidents like this will kind of make people think twice, because what ends up happening is the kids get hurt, because as Jamie said, there's a bunch of coaches in there, and there are going to be some great matchups on Sunday that didn't happen. And maybe a kid lost a scholarship he could have gotten otherwise. Jamie, before I let you go, man, I got to ask you a real basketball question.
Okay.
Give me 5 players that you've seen this summer that are the best out of North Carolina. Who stood out? I'm not talking about who's the reputation-wise the best. I mean, who's played the best this summer? Give me your 5. Jamie?
I'm not sure if he counts for this, but Jalen Hood-Schifino was unbelievable this summer. Let's see. Caleb Foster had a great summer. Aiden Holloway had a great summer. Deontay Green shot up everything this summer. Let's see.
That's 4.
In 2021, Jonas Adu had a huge summer. PJ Edwards Elijah Wilson had a big summer.
No, you got to go 5. You said 5. I like Aiden Holloway. Biscuit is his nickname.
Yeah, Biz. Well, this last couple of weekends he played 17U with the Team Loaded team. Obviously, I know your affiliation with but he played 17U in some events and everything, and was great. It was the best player on the floor at times for them.
I got my hat right here, Jamie. See that?
3 stripes.
Yes, sir. You got it right.
But yeah, no. So Holloway's great. I'm gonna be very excited to see how that 2023 class plays out. You know, between Foster, Holloway, and you got Dillingham and Trey Parker, and you know the list goes on of the incredible 23 class, and see who steps up in 22. Because now that everybody left the state, the top spot's ready to be taken.
Well, I tell you what, my man, we got to get you back in December when we launch Talking Press basketball, and hopefully you and Rick can coexist in the same screen. You know, Rick's on my staff.
I don't see why we wouldn't be able to.
No problem, man. I'm just teasing. Loosen up, Jamie. Loosen up. Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot, Jamie.
Absolutely. Thank y'all very much.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye.
That's Jamie Shaw, one of the best guys in the basketball universe. Just a beautiful human being. All right. What in the world is the Thick Boys Running Club, Gray?
Hey, man, so I've got to let our president, our CEO of the Thick Boys Running Club really start this off and get into it. It was funny you brought it up to Chris Hughes, and he didn't realize that he's about to get a trial membership here shortly. So I'll let our CEO speak right now.
All right, Sean Fitzgerald, Lake Norman offensive coordinator. Tell us how it started and where did this nickname come from? I was spelling it with a Z. I'm told to spell the S. My bad.
Yeah, you're good. So basically, it came about. Our athletic director, Jay Keener, had just started working out after our summer workouts, and just like everybody, we've all kind of got the COVID-15 going on, and I was not interested in keeping that around, and so. He and I started running, went from 2 miles to 3 miles to, really getting after it. And, I started posting on Facebook, social media, and one of my buddies hit me up and was like, man, you don't necessarily have a typical runner's body. What are you doing out running 3 miles? And I said, well, I mean, we are a little bit thick, but, I think we can still make it happen. We're college athletes. And, from that point on, we were the Thick Boys Running Club. And, I can't think of a better name than that right there for a bunch of guys that played offensive line or looked like offensive linemen or, just getting out, man, trying to be a little bit healthier, working on our health. I guess that's the few benefits of not having high school football now. We can kind of concentrate on our own health and be better for our athletes once we actually do get back with them.
Well, hey, I'm 6'1". This morning I weighed in at 227. I'm actually down about 20 pounds. Am I too small to be in the club, or can I kind of get in on the fringe?
No, sir. So, we've had a couple guys, Coach Grandinetti out east, Coach Campo from Richmond County, Honeycutt, Coach Billings, those guys are not as big as me by any stretch. So we just kind of came up with a little quiz. You got to pass. If you think about good food while you're running, you qualify as a thick boy.
That's perfect. And I think, from my perspective, we have a lot of stuff. I mean, being IMEC brethren, a lot of things, whenever we meet, Coach Oliphant posted it and it was a shot loud and clear this year. Like our game is, I think it's game 10 of the season. He always posts every year. That's game 1 of the playoffs. We go through a tough schedule, play some, incredibly tough teams. We're connected by the fact their staff started at a very similar program kind of, status, us a little bit worse, I feel, but, they've done a great job. And, I feel like we're kind of in lockstep in a lot of different ways. I think this is the, kind of another thing that joins us. And shoot, I grew up in a triple option offense, and while I play receiver, hell, I'm a wide lineman, baby. I block the rest of them, and my body's kind of gotten to that point as well with our fellow linemen. Hell, I'm about 270 now, so I figured I'd start, living in the South Side. I figured I'd start our South Charlotte chapter, but. Those guys are incredibly motivating, man. And these coaches, and I'm always trying to advocate for the incredible job I know that they're doing up there in that area, even though they don't get the coverage. But another case where they're motivating. And I got tired of seeing some of these guys that, running at Mallard Creek in vans and they're 170 pounds and are here doing their times. And Coach Littlejohn and Lash, I'm talking about you guys. But, it's tougher to see them running 7-8 minute miles. And I'm over here with my big body trying to get down under 12. So, it's been great, man. It's been awesome for all of us to try to, get better and get more healthy. And the kids are watching, and that's always my thing. And they're watching. Heck, I got retweeted today by one of our starting safety. They were wanting to see us get better.
Well, my fastest mile yesterday was 10:38, and I ran 3 today, and I ran like a 9:49, 9:50. So I'm getting there.
Moving.
Back in the day, believe it or not, back in the day, I was in the Army, and we did a 2-mile PT test. And my best time, 2 miles combined, was 11:45. So, back in the day, I had that body. Right now, not so much.
That's moving.
Wow. That is moving for sure, man. But, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And, it's tough without football on Friday. And I'm sure, Coach, I love, to get you guys' opinion. At least you guys got some practice in the end. And that's probably worse when you get a taste of it and don't. But, how do you guys feel, on Friday nights? I know I'm feeling weird.
Yeah, no doubt. I was talking to my dad. This is the first football season in 32 years. He hasn't been coaching in August. And it's just like, what are we doing? I feel like I should be doing something. I'm kind of just walking around, getting on my wife's nerves, just trying to occupy my time with, something. It's definitely a new experience. And it's honestly something I hope we never have to, as football coaches, have to go through again.
And Coach Fitzgerald, what are you getting with your Friday night? So what's occupying your time, since obviously we're not able to have games? And Grice, I'll throw it over to you as well after Coach Fitzgerald answers.
Man, again, kind of one of the positives I'm taking out of it is the ability to spend more time with my kids, spend more time with my family. We've gone camping a couple times over the weekend. We went over Labor Day weekend. Just generally spending more time with my 6-year-old son, my 2-year-old daughter, my wife. Again, just making sure that family time's there. This is the first fall that, they've experienced where dad has been around at all, really. I mean, we spend so much time as football coaches with other people's kids. It's really nice to kind of get back to mine.
And Grace, I'm going to throw the same question to you. I know you're on here with us every week, but the coaching side of you, Friday nights, they're tough for me. I know you being still an active coach, it's got to be pretty tough for you.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know, speak to other coaches. I think one of the craziest things for me is a lot of my cravings that I have on Friday nights, still are there. Like Friday at about 3:30, I'm getting hungry, for a nice little pregame meal. And, I still notice my Starburst addiction comes back. I just bought a pack of sunflower seeds for the first time this fall, which normally I've gone through probably about 10 or 12 of those packs. So it's just like a lot of my Friday cravings, and that my body still gets that kind of rush of adrenaline at 7 o'clock. I feel like so it's like my body is still connected with the Friday night feeling, even though I'm sitting here looking on a computer screen and a TV at other people playing football. So it's tough, but you feel those same routines. But I think that's kind of the genesis of this overall thing is trying to do something to fill that time. I got a young daughter. I mean, she's everywhere running around me, no matter what I'm doing. So again, taking advantage of that now because we know hopefully as things continue down the path they are, we should be playing in the spring. So even though it's a little different, Friday nights in the fall definitely feel weird.
Well, speaking of playing in the spring, and we've seen some of the numbers shift around, and I'm sure you guys have seen the latest numbers in North Carolina's positivity rates are getting below the 5% mark that the governor wants to see. That could mean that the larger school districts could go back to school. We've seen some other states start switching it up and bringing back football this fall. What are your thoughts about doing that here? And Coach Oliphant, I'll start with you.
We're going to be ready to go whenever the NCHSA lets us loose. We're actually going to start back in the weight room next Monday, thanks to the admin and Iredell Statesville Schools for letting us do that. But we're ready. Everybody's got concerns with COVID, and as they should. I mean, I think last time I checked, like you said, the numbers are going down, and seeing these other states real close to us play is tough. And one question I sent out to Twitter was just asking the coaches in other states, have they seen an increase of cases on their team, as they're playing? And so, it's kind of like you're watching other teams do it, but at least we're getting an idea. North Carolina, is it safe, rather than, being the first to do it and finding out it's not. Because at the end of the day, there's no coach in North Carolina that wants to lose a kid to this. And so, once we know that we're good to go and then see other states doing it and being successful, we're going to be ready to spot the ball.
And I'm going to throw this next question out for everybody, including you, Grice. There's a lot of camps, a lot of 7-on-7s that's been going on now, even some full contact options. What are some of your thoughts on that kind of stuff? Good, bad, and different. And Coach Fitzgerald, I'll let you get the first crack at it.
Well, for me, I like seeing that the kids have the opportunity to compete. That's my biggest hang up in all of this. And I'm definitely all about safety. When we started doing our workouts over the summer, we took the safety protocols and we went tenfold with them. And so, that was definitely our main concern. Like Coach O said, nobody in the state of North Carolina wants to be responsible for any kind of kid getting sick, loss of life, anything like that. But what really hurts my soul a little bit is some of these bubble kids, the quote unquote senior eval kids that are losing opportunities and getting passed over on college boards right now because we're not playing and other states are. I absolutely understand safety, and I do agree with Coach O in the sense that it's nice that we get the opportunity to see what happens as opposed to being the first to jump right in. But I like the 7-on-7 stuff. I like, some of the lineman camps I saw, another one going on at Independence High School. I like to see that stuff because at the end of the day, it allows our kids to still be seen. It allows that exposure for our kids. Because at the end of the day, the reason, I know I'm a competitor. If we're playing checkers, I'm trying to beat you. But, my heart breaks for the kids that are missing opportunities at college scholarships and will inevitably end up either not playing college football or paying to play college football.
Yeah, no doubt. That's exactly what I was going to say. My biggest concern right now is you got college coaches that are trying to fill rosters. And, if you look at a kid at North Carolina and you look at a kid in South Carolina or Georgia, and they're the same off of, last year's tape, we don't have film for our guys. And so 7-on-7 and all these camps are allowing these kids to get exposure because, at the end of the day, football is going in for all of them. But if they get that degree, that's going to last them a lifetime. And as I tell all our kids that want to play college football, my job is to serve you and to try to get someone other than your parents to pay for your education. And so that's why we've really tried to be diligent. We filmed a lot of combine stuff at our workouts this summer because we didn't know what this summer looked like. We didn't know if there were going to be camps. And so we tried to be real proactive to give our kids, an advantage against guys that weren't being able to do this because we just didn't know what it looked like. It's been tough. Definitely trying to get some of these college coaches' attention for our guys has been tough. Some have been easier to get a hold of than others. But it is what it is. We're going to keep fighting for our kids because, at the end of the day, I'm going to try to work as hard for them as they work for us. One thing I do want to kind of go back and just throw up the thick boys.
I got to get mine.
Chris, we'll get you a South Row in with my man.
I like it.
We got you too, man. We definitely wanted to post that before we got off of here, but do appreciate you guys letting us in.
No, always, man. And that's always the thing, even in the fall, we're on here discussing everything. And, you guys were the people I pointed to as doing things the right way when you guys were able to practice, had no COVID incidents, no issues. You guys have been that model for our area, our conference to show, hey, we can get practice done in the right way, the safe way with 0 incidents. So I at least want to commend you for that. I've been, screaming you guys praises in that regard to show proof to everybody it can be done. Hey, like I tell everybody else out there, hey, this is not just, for us, it's not a secret club. You guys want to get out there, get healthy, Twitter, Facebook, use the hashtag. We wanted something unique. Big Boys is too regular. We wanted to make sure, Thick Boys Running Club. If you want to be South Charlotte chapter, we're always looking for members. So, guys, thank you for being on. And, we'll have to get an update and see how many miles we've cracked. I just cracked 100 miles myself.
You keep running 6 miles, Bryce. I'm never going to catch you. So,
I told you I felt good. Hey, you get too far from home, you always got to get back. So
you got to get back somehow.
All right, man. Thank you guys for being on.
Appreciate it, man.
Good to see y'all.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, man, it's that time of the evening already. I think, we've been moving, but, hey, this is one of my favorite segments. That other segment we do is cool with that other guy, but, hey, it's time for Chris's Corner. Stop that music.
All right. All right, guys, and I'm glad we just had that conversation with Coach Fitzgerald and Coach Oliphant in regards to the 7-on-7s and the different camps, because that's going to segue perfectly into what I had planned to talk about tonight. And before I go to the camp and the combine and the 7-on-7, all of that stuff, I've got to say, watching football, college football Saturday this weekend, what an unbelievable experience. And even to throw in the NFL yesterday, what a great weekend to finally have some real tangible football that we could see, some grass, some dirt, some blocking. I mean, wasn't it a beautiful thing? And to see a lot of our North Carolina homegrown athletes shine, whether it was on the ACC gridiron, or we had some playing out in Big 12 country as well, or also look at Pharaoh Cooper. We had 2 Havelock homegrown guys playing this weekend here in the NFL. So I thought that was phenomenal, and that's why that's why I cover high school football the way I do, because you get to see tomorrow's stars today. But again, we know that we've got the pandemic. We know we don't have football. We don't have the fall football right now, and that's obviously been the topic of conversation. You don't have to be living under a rock to know that. But going back to what I mentioned in the open, the 7-on-7s, the camps, the combines, the everything. I'm so glad that these young guys have an opportunity to go out and show off their skills, just to get out there and compete. There's not a school board there. There's not a lot going on, but a chance to get out and compete this weekend up in the Triad. In both Greensboro and in Winston-Salem, North Carolina Fusion has put together a 7-on-7 tournament that features young men from different schools. Now, these aren't school teams. I think you got one team up there named after some roads, and I think one team might be named after an ice cream shop. But they're getting up there, and they've got full-fledged 7-on-7 events, and they've got a tournament. They're doing standings and a championship, and they're played in different parts of both Greensboro and Winston-Salem. And I got a chance to see some of the film from that this weekend. Phenomenal experience just to see these guys out there competing. I'm going to go fast forward to Friday night. I know they had a great showcase experience going on up there at Mountain Island Charter. And then Sunday, Vince Jacobs and the guys from VTO, I was out there at Matthews at the Sportsplex. What an unbelievable opportunity for about 200 guys to get out there and compete. Now, they were socially distanced, and props to Vince Jacobs for getting out there and shouting at them, making sure that everybody had their mask. If they were 6 feet apart, everybody was doing the right thing. But what a great opportunity for those guys. And I don't want to make you sound like a commercial, but even Dina King and NC Preps, they were out there doing live streaming of the event and putting these guys on TV live just to show off their skills. And, it's not the same thing. It's not Friday night football, but at least it's something. And, it's an opportunity for some guys not to be sitting at home, not to be playing their PlayStation, their Xbox, their Fortnite. And they're out there competing, they're safe, and they're probably eating and being doing great things. And, I just wanted to applaud all the different events that were going on this weekend.
Good stuff, Chris. I appreciate what you do, my man.
All right, guys.
Most knowledgeable guy in sports. Now we're going to bring in the fittest guy in sports. Coach Littlejohn, the legend. Like, seriously, the only thing I was worried about is bringing him on, and he's going to look too good on the screen. Like, he's just going to mess us all up.
He shows you up, buddy.
Everybody gets excited. Long as he don't daggone wear a wife beater or something in the thing, we're going to be okay, though. Now,
what's going on, man?
Big Boys Running Club just a little bit ago. Tell them what kind of mile you can run. How fast do you run your mile?
Well, me, man, a good day, man, baby. Maybe if it's just 1 mile, maybe 6:45, but a couple miles with about 7:15 in there.
You're inspirational, brother. I tell you what, you're amazing. And I notice I got a few questions for you, but I want to let you know that I appreciate you being on here. You've always been a stand-up. You've always been a stand-up guy, and I really appreciate everything you've always done.
You're my guy. You know that, man. Me and you go way back, man, in many ways, and you've always been, my supporter, man, behind the scenes, and me of yours as well, man.
No doubt. Well, you were formerly at Mallard Creek. You got rings for days, and track, football, the whole deal. Now you're at South Pointe. They got rings for days. A perfect fit for you.
Yes,
we saw tweets you put out saying that South Carolina treats high school football and teachers differently than North Carolina. Can you explain that to our audience?
Yeah, man. I'll be honest with you, man. Since I've gotten there, man, there's been so much love. Just, not just on a football standpoint, but in the building. My principal, man, Mr. Connors, he's welcomed me in. With open arms, explain what he wanted my role to be as an educator and a coach, and, the standards he wanted, to set with my position. So, I just love it, man. I dare be careful to say better. It's just different. It's a different world down there. It's a football state, in every aspect. They love other sports and things like that, but just it's the environment down there, man. It's football's in the air. We're up and running. 2 months ago, I was at Mallard Creek, and the coaching staff there, don't get it twisted, is phenomenal. Coach Tinsley's come in and set a different environment with his purpose of where the program's going. And I was having fun on that staff as well before this opportunity came open. So don't think it was a change of that. But it's a different vibe down there, man, in all aspects of things. So.
Okay. Yeah. So it's great having you on, man. I hope we can have you on more.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
So you mentioned and you hit on it. You guys were up and running. Well, by the way, a question is about where's your beard?
Oh man, yeah, man. So down there, we're not virtual as far as teaching. We're in person, and so I'm teaching every day with my mask on, and I just got tired of it, man. I got tired of the mask. It got too hot, so I said, you know what? It's time for me to kind of start over, man. The season's almost here. September 25th, we're on and popping, man. So, it's usually about the time I try to, neaten it up a little bit and keep it clean for the season, man.
So you mentioned that you guys are up and running now. So,
yes, sir.
I guess scrimmages you got scrimmages coming up?
Yeah. We actually just had our first scrimmage last Saturday against Chester and Ridgeview, both phenomenal teams. Coach Perry's the head coach of Ridgeview. He's a great friend of mine. He always welcomed me down there to play golf with him. And my guy, Joe Cox, who is the wide receiver coach at South Carolina. So, they're in Columbia doing well. But Ridgeview looks good, man. They have a massive D-line, fast, explosive team, competitive. Our guys gave it their all. It was a very good scrimmage, very good setup, good situations. We had an inside run portion of it, outside run, perimeter run, passing game, special teams. It was a 3-team rotation, and it was just phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
So you got to do that, and your former colleagues back up here in Charlotte and players, they're not able to do anything. What's that like? That they're not able to, and you're
Correct.
down there just getting it up, man.
Yeah, I'm really close with those Mallard Creek coaches still. My guy, Coach Corio, he keeps me up to date what's going on at Mallard Creek. We talk a lot. He gives me an open door policy to always come by and check in. So for them, I don't look at it as them not up and running. They're just delayed. But for me, I'm excited because, I tweeted out maybe about 2 weeks ago, I'm a fan now of everybody in the IMAC. So now I get a chance to come back in February and see all those guys play each other as a fan now. I don't have to worry about, rivalries and all that kind of stuff. Don't get it twisted now. I'm always going to have Mallard Creek at my heart. And whoever Mallard Creek plays from here on out, I hope they win. But I get a chance to see these same guys I've been battling with for years, and I can be a fan now. So for me, it's not so much not being able to play. It's just, North Carolina's doing what I think that they think is best, and I don't disagree with that. And South Carolina's doing what they think is best, and I don't disagree with that. I just it's not being able to do it. It's just delayed. That's all. But our kids, I say our kids because I still love the Mallard Creek community, but those Creek kids, man, they still tag me in their tweets when they're working out. They're going to get it. Mallard Creek is not going to fall off by any means. Those kids are still some dogs over there. They're still in the weight room getting after it. I'm excited to see that JV crew I had last year, to see them grow into varsity guys and dominate. So, it's a good thing, man.
Yeah, so you're going to get the opportunity to go see the best games in the IMAX. So
man, absolutely. And I invited my new head coach, Coach Holloman, down to watch him with me because I still live in Charlotte right now. So, with me commuting, these games are still going to be local no matter what. So I'm excited.
So one more question. The numbers are going down with COVID, but it's still a concern. And what do you got? Do you have any concerns about going into contact? And what are your concerns with the virus, especially since you've had the opportunity to actually have contact now?
Oh yeah. So I've been there for quite a while now, and we take every safety precaution there is. We're wearing masks. We are not sharing water bottles. We're keeping 6 feet of distance as far as teaching wise. Football, it kind of is what it is. It's contact sport. So, and I really don't know, none of us really do know enough about COVID to say what's going to happen. I just, I'm a praying man like Griner, man of faith. Just hope for the best, man, in all this. There have been pandemics before in the world, way before football, and people got through them and adjusted to them, So I don't know. It's just, I don't want to be someone who speaks on something that I really don't have a full understanding of. I just know it's a pandemic and we're trying our best to make it through. But contact football is here. I mean, it's on. The 7-on-7s are here. I just don't think playing football puts people at any more risk than it would a family reunion, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. It's still close contact. It's still people you love. So, it's really the same to me, but I know my wife makes me take off my coaching clothes when I walk in the house every night as soon as I get in the door. So I have to take a shower. Yeah, so that's a big difference, but we're doing the best we can down there. But, and I'm teaching classes with some of my classes only have 5 kids in there, 11 kids. So our classes are not big by any means. Our schedule is different as far as the schooling. We're on a ABC day. So A day is Tuesdays and Thursdays. B days is Wednesdays and Fridays. And then Mondays are what we call our C days, are all virtual. So, we're doing the best we can in football. Like I said, we're sanitizing everything and just doing the best we can. But there's really no way to truly prevent it. You're just trying to, take safety precautions.
No doubt. Well, speaking of big games, Myers Park game got canceled this year. Any plans to redo that next year at Bank of America?
Man, listen, I'm still focused on who we got up ahead, man. I'm on Catawba Ridge right now. And
I'm with you.
And then, of course, we're playing Dutch Fort. So I can't get away from Dutch Fort, man, no matter what, man. And that's a big time game. Preparing for TK again, man. That's gonna be a monster of a game it's gonna be at South Pointe. So I know there'll be a lot of, Charlotte people coming down to see us play that game, that monster of a game. So I'm not even thinking about next season, man. I'm still getting used to my new role at South Pointe and what they're asking me to do as a football coach. I'm currently serving as quarterbacks coach and assistant head coach, and that's a big time role down there to them. So
it's my friend. I have one more question to ask you because it is something that could happen next year. What's the chances? We always wish, the South Pointe Malley Creek matchup. Would you be in favor for that, or you'd be, I'd rather not do that?
Oh no, man. Listen, I love Malley Creek to death, but I'm South Pointe now. That chapter was a great chapter of my life. I left in good regards, but I'll play anybody now. I'll play anybody, man. My role now as assistant head coach and quarterback coach is to get these guys prepared to play anybody. And, the Malley Creek coaches even said it. They said, listen, schedule us next year. We'll play, and it'll be exciting. Think about it, dude. You're my brother, and I was going to get ready to play you and Grice this year. So, and me and Grice, same thing with me and Grice. Last year, doing JV and varsity games, we prayed at the 50-yard line, and we got after it. And then the next day we called each other and talked about what we thought we could have done better at the game. Me and you did the same thing back in 2017 when we had monster squads. So, we'll definitely play if they schedule us though.
No doubt. Well, I wanted to do the Griner thing, where he gets to talk to his buddies and get on here and tell them, all the stuff he wanted to say. They couldn't put me on a segment because, it would have just been me and you talking for an hour and a half. But, brother, I wanted to at least say publicly how excited I am for you. You called me on a run, putting it together. You called me on a run, and I went out and crushed that run right after.
Oh, yeah.
Just how excited I was for, your promotion, your elevation. And, I let Sam, pushes make him stand up. But, my faith is big to me. We always are praying for each other. And I tell people, I'm like, you need to shovel with our conversations, many of the gems that fall in those conversations and as many of the great things you've spoken in my life and the elevation I've received as a result. So I just wanted to at least get the opportunity to say I'm proud of you, and I'm still in a few questions to speak to you and ask to you. So we got to ask, would you ever consider coming back to CMS? I know personally that you have had the opportunity to be a head guy at certain places. Would you ever consider that again if given the chance?
Oh, absolutely. CMS is always going to be home to me. I'm Charlotte, born and raised. So being able to come back one day and be a phenomenal maybe head coach of a team would be great. If I was coaching with the right staff with me, absolutely. But right now, I'm locked in. I was at Malley Creek for 8 years, so I am a guy of longevity. I'm the kind of guy that really, roots himself in the program and tries to watch it grow over time. So I don't know. I would be open to it, but also too depends on my growth at South Pointe. When I came to Malley Creek 8 years ago, I was just there to be a receiver coach and assistant track coach. And, Palmieri allowed me to grow and in different areas and mentor me in that. So who knows, man? It just depends on my growth in South Pointe. But yeah. I'm open up to it, but we'll see.
See, Griner, I told you I get on here one time and get him in the pulpit, man. But I gotta ask this last one. I'm going rogue here. We saw the Catawba Ridge kid. He guaranteed to win. We saw your head coach retweet it. I want the answer. What do you think? He guaranteed to win. We need an answer. Don't give me that political crap. He guaranteed to win week 1 against the South Pointe Stallions. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, he shouldn't have done that. So my boys have been. We've talked about it. And I told my boys, don't tweet anything back. We're going to let the past talk like always, man. You know me, Grice, I'm horrible at talking junk on social media. So, you know how it goes, man.
He just flexes the biceps, said, hey, my guys are working just as hard. That's all. He's like the black Griner. He just like flexes the biceps. I look better than you. I'm going to beat you.
I'm waiting for his
off here. We're going to be on here for 2 hours. That's my fault. Let me leave.
Have you ever seen him do his dance? I'm waiting for him to do his old school pop locking with the whistle, and then he can
I've seen the videos. I haven't seen it. Oh my gosh. Hey, y'all be Catawba Ridge, and I'm gonna
next time we bring you on, you got to do that dance for us.
At least show the video.
You got it, man. I'm trying to grow up a little bit, man. I'm a different position now.
No, man, be yourself.
No, grow the beard back. Pop lock. We want all this stuff back, man. Bring the old LJ back. The quarantine LJ. We want it.
Man, y'all got it, man. I appreciate y'all so much, man.
Thanks so much, Coach.
All
right. Guess what time it is now, Bryce? It's time for you to get up out of here. Get up out of here.
Wow, let me leave. I got to whack.
Hey, Kenzie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Isn't it so good to get that, loud guy off the screen just for a minute? My goodness. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, I love that guy. He brings a lot of energy, doesn't he?
He does. Truly does.
Speaking of energy, tell me, what kind of job did you do this week?
I really wanted to talk to some 2021 guys. I'm a senior myself, so I'm going through a lot of the same emotions they're going through right now, and to be able to talk to them about, what they're doing to try to kind of move through those emotions and still figure out what they're going to do for college and how they're going to take those next steps.
Oh, great. So we got a video. Let's see it.
All right, today I'm here with Evan Bernard. He's the quarterback. Evan, this is your senior year. This is it. You're going to have to make some tough decisions coming up, and I know that's really difficult. And as a senior myself, I really sympathize with that. But, Evan, you're getting to practice, which is great. How has practice affected you, good, bad, and how are the guys really responding to it?
I think that practice has been good. I mean, it's just good to get out there in general. I think, besides the fact that the season did get pushed back, I think any sort of reps, even if it's voluntary, is good. So just get conditioning, get some just any sort of football is good for us. It's just bonding as a team as a whole. We just need as much practice as possible and much preparation for the season.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're getting practice. I know CMS isn't, and so I think it's definitely to your benefit. Evan, you're captain on the lacrosse team. We know that football and lacrosse are going to be played during the same season, which is very unusual. You're going to have to make a choice coming up soon. How's that choice? How is it going to be making that choice, and are you leaning in any sort of direction?
That choice is definitely a difficult one because I've been playing lacrosse since I was 9 years old, and I definitely am leaning towards football, but I haven't made a final decision on that. But it's definitely a tough, especially since all this is going on. I don't really necessarily know how to feel about it, and I didn't even get a season last year too. So and hopefully I'll be able to decide soon. But I'm still varying between both of them. But definitely leaning towards football for sure.
That's pretty awesome. You do a great job, Kenzie.
Thank you.
We're going to try to bring you back later on tonight. You good with that?
I'm totally fine with that.
You guys making Kenzie come back and do the crazy stuff, the zany.
I love it.
A lot of fun.
Getting ready for all the zany. All right, Grace. I think I did it well last week.
Oh, you got it. You have it today. I'm telling you.
Can I go 2 for 2? The most popular segment on Talking Preps used to be Coach versus Coach, but now it's Fresh Face. Look at that, Grace.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Morton, man. It's pretty easy to describe him. He's a strong, fast, physical corner. I mean, he does it all. He looks for the ball, and he looks to make big plays and big-time moments, and he does it consistently well. and there's nothing else that you can say about that kid because he's a star in the making.
RGK's going to be a really improved team. I like the strides they've been making recently. They're going to make a little noise in the IMEC, I think, with the Olympic again. Griner, that used to be your conference. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, RGK's pretty amazing. They won the conference championship last year.
I was about to say they won it.
Huh?
I was about to say they won the conference last year. They were good.
That's what I'm saying. I think that they'll repeat.
Right.
I think Olympics definitely a good team, but RGK is moving in the right direction. They kept that one coach that's been there a long time and just knows the guys, knows the routine, and I think he's doing a phenomenal job.
Nice highlights on this young man here. I'm looking at some nice stuff. All right, your turn, Dale. We got Sean Bowles of Olympic.
Yeah, so this is another dual threat quarterback. The Olympics had a lot of these, and Langston, he reminds me a lot of Ben Williams, if you remember Ben. So he's a similar size. The kid can throw with his feet moving, which is, of course, obvious if you're a dual threat quarterback. Hopefully you got some of his nice runs. He throws the ball well. He runs the ball well. I think his speed is good. Like I say, a lot like Ben Williams, the kid, if people remember Ben.
That's a big boy to bring down right there. Goodness.
Yeah. You can see
young fella. Oh, don't get
the kid is a good ball player. I don't know what his
conference quarterback. Yeah.
I personally saw him. I saw him throw the ball Friday at one of the camps, and he's pretty good. His best attribute you can't see on film. The players around him love him. Like he's great leader. He's a great leader.
All right, Derek Brenton, 2, Hickory Ridge. Gary.
Yes, Derek is a rising senior, 6 foot, 170 pounds. Doesn't get a lot of attention because he plays opposite Christian Hamilton, who's a big-time D1 recruit. But
the best wide receiver you've ever seen. Didn't he say that a couple weeks ago?
At his age. I don't know.
At his age, okay.
At his age. But anyway.
That's a lot.
I would have heard that.
Derek, last summer when I started coaching over at Hickory Ridge, the receivers group, Derek was third on the depth chart, and a couple of guys got injured doing 7-on-7, and he found his way up to number 1, and he never let that spot go, even when those guys returned from injury. This year will probably be a breakout season for him because we know Hamilton is going to get a lot of double coverage. And Hickory Ridge is loaded with skilled players, and he should be able to take advantage of the coverage being over Hamilton.
Got some wheels, man.
Yeah. So he should benefit from that. He's a great kid, runs good routes, is a very good blocker, which all wide receivers that play for me have to be able to do. But he's going to have a breakout season. He's already getting the attention of some smaller D1 and FCS schools, and he's just another.
We got to get Derek some more highlights. That's the same highlight like 3 times over.
Same route.
All right, guys. All I've seen is video clips of pretty guys that wear small numbers, but you can't move the ball without these guys that move muscle and hit pads, the guys that get dirty in the grass and dirt, and that is Miles Lopez from Cuthbertson High School. You see him right there, can play offense and defense, defensive tackle, a great student, great young man. I think that the future is really bright for Miles Lopez. Was a huge performer this July at the VTO camp in Charlotte. Was one of the top 5 linemen that I saw. Great footwork. I like how he can get behind his pads on defense and go after the lineman on offense. He's great. Look at the explosion right there, pushing that line up there to allow for the run. Again, I like Miles Lopez. I think that he's got a bright future. He's a 2021 guy. I hope that he's one of these guys that this spring season can really help bring in the offers because I think he's due.
All right. Dylan Mckay got a long snapper, Big Sam.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably the most underrated position on the field, long snapper. You never know there's an issue until something bad happens, so you need consistency. This guy is very consistent. He gets the ball back pretty quick. But extremely catchable ball. It's good to whip back a ball that's very catchable so that the punter can get rid of it within 2 steps. And I think he does that a phenomenal job. And he gets down on the field extremely well. You'll see him get down here and make a little tackle. And, he's not the first one down there, but he can wrap up and make a tackle. Not the most athletic guy in the world, but long snappers, they struggle a little bit with the athleticism. So he does a really good job of doing his job. I don't think
long snapper's like a punter. He's just supposed to do that one job and get out of the way and let the other guys make it.
And it's so important. The game can be cost. You can lose a game because of a long snapper, literally. And to be consistent, it takes a lot.
All right, Keenan Silas, Independence, Mr. Grice, what we got?
Well, I love guys with huge upside, and this guy's that. 6'4", 195. Independence had a very senior-heavy receiving crew this past year. Trevor Bryan, Shy Wheeler both went on to play college football. He's a guy that doesn't have a lot of receiver highlights for that reason, but he's a guy that I think you look to take that next step. Coach Van Horn's like me, loves to throw the ball, air raid influence guy. This is going to be his X guy. Talk with him. This is going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of targets on the outside. And having a guy with this type size, having a guy with this level of athleticism, again, you don't put slow guys on kickoff. A guy that can get down there, is aggressive, is physical, that's going to transfer as he catching the ball against some of these smaller corners. So, again, we talk about all these great receivers that have already established. This is one guy that this spring season you guys will be turning around and looking for Keenan Silas and wondering where he come from. He's an athlete, can play both sides of the ball. I'm excited to see him. I know Coach Van Horn is excited when he's talking about him. We talked about 45 minutes today about this kid. 3.0 GPA, 3.1 GPA. He's not a kid that you have to worry about qualifying, not a kid that grades are going to be an issue. So if he goes ahead and puts it together, already got some offers because of that potential, I think this is a future all-conference guy this year that you guys look up and say, where'd he come from? We want to highlight real fresh faces.
Independence has that HD video clips. I like
those are the next fresh faces we need to have. We need to have these cameramen. Hickory Ridge, Gary. I don't know who that guy is, but he better be getting paid something. Those highlights were crisp.
They were pretty good. I'm pretty impressed, guys. If you guys want to be on Fresh Faces, drop me a DM on Twitter. Hit me on Facebook, shoot me an email, lworks@charlotteobserver.com. We want to feature you guys each week. We definitely want to make sure we feature linemen and long snappers and linebackers and people who don't, run the ball or pass the catch the ball. Not the guys that Grice deals with. So we want to do that. All right, Grice, it's time for me and you to go out with.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to let Gary and Dale have their dance. It's time, if I can find my thing, for the 2-minute warning.
Well, hey, Dale, how's it going? How many times do you get out of your car and you walk 3 or 4 steps and you see somebody else and like, oh, I forgot my mask? I know that happens to me at least 20 times a week where I have to turn around, go back to the car, get my mask. Are we getting too relaxed about the COVID numbers because things are getting better, and how does that translate to playing high school sports?
That's a good question you ask about the dropping of the mask or the mask. We went out today, and for some reason I had my mask and lost it, so I had to wear a flowered mask because my wife had an extra mask. Gary, that's a good question. Of course, that leads in, if you can see in my background, I've got what really grinds my gears because something really is bothering me after last week's discussion a little bit about, as politics impacting things, et cetera. And so I've been looking around to see what's happening in other states where they are playing. And I'm going to try not to go too long, but I had a son that played ball, and he had an opportunity to play at Lehigh or Davidson, and he ultimately decided not to play. But I understand what it's like to have a kid and want to have a kid to get his film so he can play. But there's a young man here behind me. I don't know if people can see it there, but there's a young 14-year-old down in Statesboro, Georgia. He has been working out with his team. And I think if I have the numbers right, he'd been working out for a little over a week to maybe 2 weeks, and he got sick. And his mom took him to the doctor, or took him to the emergency room because he had the symptoms, but they wouldn't test him, sent him home. Went back that weekend again. They wouldn't test him, sent him home. Went back again. They checked him in. He spent 6 days in ICU. And he's also had a cardiac shock, which means that the heart cannot pump enough blood to the body. And it turns out he has myocarditis, and that's a weakening of an inner wall of the middle wall of the heart, the muscles. So that's why the heart was having a hard time pumping the blood. And so as I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of research about what's happening in these other states that are not playing. And one thing that's starting to come up now, and myocarditis I actually put in the lower left, and I'll throw this up just so people can see the cool little back thing that I did. I had this right here that you can see in the lower left. I had that up last week because it's something that has been a concern, Gary, that people can get this, but now that athletics has been taking place and there's been a lot of testing in colleges, I saw that Ohio State had 4 out of 26 players, not players, but athletes. They didn't designate whether they were all football players, but 4 out of 26 that were recovering had myocarditis. And this is a concern. This young man's cardiologist said that potentially 30% of COVID people may develop that, or develop it. So while I think we might be just a little bit, everybody's rushing and wanting to play, and I want to see sports, but I think I got to thinking about this. If my son was a senior this year, and this particular son that I'm talking about, he's 33 years old, and I can see him in his life going at 33 years old. And I think maybe sometimes we might ought to think about, what do we want our kids to be doing 13 years from now, not 1 year from now? I just wanted to bring this up to maybe make people think and to look into this, because this is a serious issue for athletes. If you have a weakening of the heart and you haven't been diagnosed, and they say that asymptomatic people can be impacted with this as well. So, Gary, I think we can't, just because numbers are coming down, we really haven't finished our first wave here in the United States. That's the sad part, is the rest of the world's gone through a wave, and we're still, on that first wave. Throw it back to you.
Well, Dale, we all wear different hats. And all of us on here, we are parents. We're connected to sports, either covering it or coaching it. We're all fans. And so when that question is posed to me, it depends on what hat I'm wearing at the time. If I'm a coach, I want to play. I mean, I think we were talking about it before we went on the air. I mean, it was so much fun. I watched football from Saturday morning from 10 o'clock game day until midnight. And then turn around and did the same thing again yesterday. And we just love football so much. And you see these games and you get excited and you say, well, why can't they play in North Carolina? They're playing these other places, and then the parent in you takes over. Well, you want to do what's right for your kid. You want them to be safe. And then, for me, the teacher takes over. How you going to have sports and not have school? It's just so many different ways to weigh it. And I think that's the problem the Big Ten is having right now. They see all the other colleges are playing, and then all of a sudden, they get more information, and the testing has improved, and the turnaround for testing has improved. And, they were supposed to take a vote Saturday, and then they were supposed to take a vote yesterday, and then they were supposed to take a vote today, and that's tugging. You know, on one hand, they're playing high school football in the Big Ten footprint, and they're not playing college football. And yet the colleges are more equipped to handle it than the high schools are. And so it's just so difficult. We don't have enough information, but we have more information.
Yeah, so thankfully we're getting more information. I just got to make one comment. Watching football this weekend was great. Even watching the Panthers lose. Defense, man. So, Gary, I don't know if I know you're not coaching this year. I don't know how much interaction you've had with players, but I want to pose it in that manner as to, have you had any feedback from players as to what it's like? You know, South Carolina, as we know, they're at the scrimmage stage right now, and games will be coming up soon. So for us, we're right here on the border. What's it like for these kids?
It's tough because they're seeing it on TV. I haven't personally talked to an individual kid because I'm not coaching this year, but I have talked to the coaches who are coaching kids, and you know, they've expressed to me it's just frustrating. They have been able to supplement this a little bit with these exposure camps and 7-on-7, but it's just not the same. And when they see football Friday night, if there is a football Friday night, I don't even know if the local networks are going to do a football Friday night, just because the North Carolina schools aren't, at least the North Carolina public schools are not playing. Maybe they'll have an abbreviated version for the private schools, but it's got to be tough. I mean, this is what they've been training for. This is what they've done their whole life. And, you know, until you just told us about this case in Georgia, you really haven't heard anything negative at the high school level about the spread of COVID-19 among football players. So I think it's got to be tough. What are you hearing?
Well, you know, I mentioned about my son, and I know if my son were here today, he would be like, "Let me go play. I don't care. You get sick, you gotta get this stuff to build immunity." And that was his whole. That's what we had to deal with the whole time. Telling him to wash his hands. It was like, no, because you got to get the germ so you can get sick. So I know he would be all over about playing. That this would be a very, very tough thing for him to handle. That you know, York County's got football going all over the place, and here we are. Just you know, a bird can fly there in a minute to one of those ball games, and yet I can't go play. I don't hear anything other than what I see on Twitter, like you, and what, you know, we see kids saying. But you've had kids, I've had kids. You know, we know what it's like, and it's got to be tough on them to see people playing and they can't go out and participate right now.
Well, we're seeing several states that made the similar decision as North Carolina to push football back until late fall or early winter, and now they've reversed trend where they decided to move it up because they've seen other states do it, what we think is successfully so far. I know I think Michigan has reversed course where they had decided to play in the winter, and now they're back to late fall. Same thing with Pennsylvania. Do you think if we get to phase 3 in the next couple of weeks that North Carolina will look to move football back to maybe late October, early November?
So my first comment on all this is, with the announcement that other sports can go now, I don't understand why we don't see an announcement from the NCHSAA that says just go with your regular schedule for the other sports that take place in the fall and let them get their stuff in now. I think if there's an opportunity for football to play you know, what's going to end up having to happen, though, Gary? You look at it October, because if we were told tomorrow that we could go in, it would be October before we would be playing, and that's going to be real tough to get 8 games in and a playoff without going over the holidays into the first part of the year. But if we're going to play at all, if we think we're going to play and we get below that 5% number, I honestly believe, I don't believe we're going to be able to play in the spring. I think we're going to get hit with the flu and the COVID, that second wave that's supposed to come along. So personally, I would move it as soon as we could. If we can play, I would go ahead and do it now and not wait until the spring.
Well, we kind of discussed this last week, and even if we did get to phase 3, I'm still thinking, okay, CMS, Wake County, they hold all the cards. And if they say we can't do it fast enough, I just don't see them doing it. Like I said, CMS is connected to Cabarrus, Union, and Iredell County as far as conferences are concerned. Wake has surrounding counties as well. And I just don't know if they're willing to take that gamble, and they haven't even gone to plan B in the schools yet. I think plan B has to go in effect before any type of sports schedules are going to move. What do you guys think?
I get depressed hearing Dale talking about we ain't gonna be able to play in the spring and stuff like that. I try to tune it out, to be honest with you. I'm like, I hope I'm wrong.
I told you guys, see, Coach Grice said in the beginning, the entire time, Lane's got to pull those plans back up, because I believe we got to hold some of y'all accountable. I was the only one on here saying we should have played in the fall, pushed it back, got started after testing. We got to bring those plans back up. But I mean, I think, like I said, I think in the spring we'll be fine if we keep on the same path. I mean, we'll have some issues with the flu, but one thing I think that's different now is, again, people are starting to take more precautions. You're seeing some, where people aren't, but I saw out there with 7-on-7, guys are wearing masks. We're staying around the same guys. And to tell you the truth, I'm around a lot of the same kids that I'm coaching. They're not getting it. We're all taking those same precautions while out there, and I think we'll be fine. But enough of that. They're dooming. 2-minute warnings turn into doom and gloom. Let's get back to the
doom and gloom. You're not.
I mean, they're just sad. They're sitting here talking, giving us great information. We got a kid in ICU behind them the whole time. I'm like worried about the kids. I love those guys, but man.
The post-game wrap-up, because 2-minute warning, if they were really on the clock.
They're taking a knee. We about to call them the kneel down.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's good stuff.
All right, man, we need to get back to that top segment. I know Fresh Faces is awesome, and I'm glad that it's trending #1, but we need to get back. And I think we've got the battle this week to get us there. Griner, since you're next to me, I'm going to give you the first go at it this week. Panthers, week 2. What's going to happen when the Panthers face an angry Tom Brady? You don't have to agree or disagree. I just want everybody to offer their thoughts.
Yeah, I was impressed with the Panthers' first game. I thought they competed well on offense. Their defense needs to tighten a lot of things up. They made a bad decision later in the game, but Tom Brady, they got to get their timing down. So I believe that I don't think how many times Tom Brady's lost 2 games in a row. That's something we need to look at the stat. And I can't see Tampa Bay losing to the Panthers, because the Panthers, we're trying to go get Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? We might have to tank a little bit this year, make it look real close and exciting. And then we got to tank a little bit. I just think that Tom Brady and company is just a little too much. I hope I'm wrong. Like I said, rooting for the home team. I'm okay with getting Trevor Lawrence in the draft.
All right,
you got to stop the hate on Teddy Two Gloves. Teddy Two Gloves, again, the big thing about Teddy Two Gloves compared to Tom Brady and what we saw in this new Bruce Arians offense, hey, it wasn't just Jameis. I think that was one of the first takeaways I got. With that vertical style of passing offense, you're going to throw in the coverage. And dang it, our DB is going to have some turnovers there. And if we get those same opportunities, Teddy ain't turning the ball over. And one thing that I like with that offense is you say what it is. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, knows how to score some points. You know, the DBs can get some opportunistic, plays. Shaq Thompson and those linebackers are gonna make plays to stop the run. But we know if Tom Brady has that same level of, turnovers and just erratic play that he had in week 1, which considering no preseason, which we'll talk to later, I think we can get lucky. And again, Teddy's going to make sure we get the points on the board. Joe Brady's going to make sure we have the right play calls, hopefully no more 4th and 1s. And I think we can get a win here.
Guys, y'all see this gray hair right here? Tom Brady is the same age that I am. So I mean, I'm in great shape. I've been working out. I've dropped about 20 pounds.
Hey.
I'm still old. My bones creak, and I know that his has to because he's been performing at the most elite level possible for the past 20 plus years. But with that being said, he's still the GOAT. And I think that mental registry of being able to process the game and the speed in which he plays, it's going to give him a little bit of an advantage. So I think the Panthers are going to have the work cut out going against him again because of how he processes it. But here's why I think the Panthers have a real chance of beating him. He didn't have a preseason. He didn't have weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of practice. He was kind of thrown into the mix. Everybody's on new footing with this new reality with the COVID-19. So I think the Panthers do have a chance. So that's kind of my thoughts. Let's go to the next question. And hey, we got a new fresh face here in our little coach versus coach. Kenzie, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey.
All right, here we go. 4th and 1. For the Panthers on Sunday, what would you have run? Kenzie, I want to know what you would have done.
I would have run anything with Christian McCaffrey. Like the whole rest of the league would have. This isn't college football anymore. You hand it to your 99 overall running back, and you just go for it. I don't know about this new fullback that's over 200 and something pounds just toddling along. You just run Christian McCaffrey. I don't care what play you run Christian McCaffrey.
I love Alex Armah. I don't want to disrespect him. He's got a family here, apparently, and we're all piling on him for what the coach made. But no, I think, Kenzie's 100% on the mark. You got to run the ball here. And yes, I know, Sam, I'm talking about running the football, but we're talking 4th and 1. One great OC I heard, G.A. Mangus said, hey, I don't care. You can be spread. You can be whatever you want. Sooner or later, you're going to have to get a 4th and 1 and 4th and 2 and show your toughness. So, yeah, I'd run duo. Duo is one of my favorite running plays. 2 hats on the ball. Grinder, if you need a good little playlist, that old coach from West Charlotte last year got a clinic run on him with running duo. That's my play. The double team at the point of attack. Give me that yard. Christian McCaffrey gets it all day.
Yeah, I'm with you both. You pay Christian McCaffrey, he's the highest paid running back in the NFL, and it's not 3rd and 1, it's 4th and 1. The game's literally on this play. And they got a little too cute with it, and it just didn't make sense because the box was extremely loaded. If you look at it, there was a ton of people inside the tackle box, and the dive's not going to work. He has no momentum. He was so close to the line of scrimmage. He had no momentum. And I think that you had 2 options. You can either use Christian McCaffrey as a decoy, you do that same pitch they did earlier in the game when he scored with. That's what they could go on with. And then or fake that and hit a tight end dump, because they still had to go down and score a touchdown. So I think there was a good chance that they really were thinking smart. They could have used Christian McCaffrey as, a decoy, and he got a real big play. And that might have been a good time for it.
And I like that too, Sam. And what I like the most, here's my thing about football. And, I'm a little old school. And Grice, I know you like to spread it out, do all these funky things, and that's cool. But when it's 4th down and 1 and you're there at the goal line or it's a tight situation, I hate to see a team in the shotgun 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then expect a guy to run and get momentum. I want to get the quarterback under center. I want to hit the line really hard and get up there quick to try to get that line. But to your point, Sam, I do love the faking, the fake pitch, the fake toss, and then maybe put some play action in there with Bridgewater to hit a tight end. Tom Brady has made a living with that play at the goal line and has scored a lot of touchdowns for New England. So we'll see what they do this week. But I like it. Well, what's our next question, Langston? Coach versus coach. The NFL punt on preseason after what we saw this week. Griner, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the positive thing is I thought there was some quality football. Maybe just because we missed it so much, we enjoyed it more than what it was given to us. We have the ability now all right, to cut the preseason games in half, I think they should do 2. They shouldn't do away with them completely because there's a lot of guys trying to make rosters. You have no clue how well they are, how good they are, that are rookies, and it's a great time for them to get exposure. You know, you can have a whole half where the starters are really getting their reps and getting, you know, fine-tuned. But I think 2 games, literally a game and a half, where that you can have some preseason for these younger guys to get after and show what they can do to make rosters. It'll help their families. How do you get rid of that? Now, get away with the 4 games. We don't need that no more.
All right, they can get rid of them. I mean, with the expanded practice squad, and they can do more to expand that to ensure these guys actually stay there for the length of the season, rather than just giving them a couple game entree. But it's terrible. And as a Panther season ticket holder, I mean, it's, I give these tickets to a buddy to want to impress a girl on a date, or if I want to take somebody out, like that's what you have them for. But I mean, nobody's paying attention to the game. If she doesn't like it and brings a book inside the stadium, we can talk about the book. I mean, these games are absolutely useless. I don't want to see some third-string guy struggling to make the team. Let that happen in practice. I don't want to see that in the stadium. Nobody's paying attention. So what good is it other than the owners making a little bit of money here and there? But I tell you what will happen if you have a better product on the field, which is what we saw and which is what will force these teams to have with no preseason. Got to make those tough decisions. I think you'll get a lot more support by some of these other teams by just scrapping these useless games, making the rosters bigger, and ensuring that you get a better product with those guys on the team.
They're not useless, though. Like, they just have too many. Like, I'm with you on that. They need to do with it. It's just too many.
College doesn't have it. They don't need them. There's enough games.
They do need it. But Sam, I like your point, and I like that you kind of look for that happy medium, because you're right. There's a lot of young guys that are trying to make that roster, and I've got some very close personal friends, and we both probably all do, who have played in some preseason games but did not make the 53-man roster, and they look even 10 years removed at the opportunity to score in a preseason game or significant playing time, and that's one of the most pinnacle moments in their life. So I don't want to take away from those opportunities, nonetheless the money that they get paid. But Grace, I think you answered your own question as to why I think they'll keep it, in the fact that you're a season ticket holder and you're paying the bills. These owners are not going to get rid of that 4 opportunities to sell extra tickets.
Well, 2 actually.
The revenue, the advertising revenue, everything that goes into that. That's why I don't think it's going to go away. But Coach Griner, where you looked at the happy medium, 2 instead of 4, I think I could live with that.
And Grace, speaking of, I'm with you. And Grace, speaking of trying to impress a girl, I would love to impress my wife. So you can definitely give me some preseason tickets.
I'll actually give them to you for face value, because that's the fun part. Getting some bandwagon Patriots fan and having them pay $100 because I'm like, it's a hot ticket. You can maybe see Tom Brady for a quarter. Hey, you want these tickets? And they're lower level. These are good seats now. I'm not putting you up in row Z up there with the flags up there. I got you down there with the field. Like, you can really see some balls. The end zone. I'm a coach. It's an end zone view, so you can really see what's going on with the O-line. It's a great view, man. You can't replace it, and it's actually covered, so your wife will know that in case it rains, she won't have to worry about anything. I got you.
I've never been to a Panthers game, so when you have an extra ticket,
you got to come. I got 2 tickets. You got to come anytime you're down here. I promise.
Hey, this week.
Yeah, they let us.
All right, hey, we're going to wrap it up tonight. Most impressive Union County quarterback this week in the opening week of the NCAA football season. Grayson Mccall, who we all know played at Porter Ridge High School, or Sam Howell from Sun Valley. Coach Grice, we'll give you the floor.
Man, I'm gonna get the behind the scenes. I brought up this question. I watched both guys play. That was one of the most exciting things for me. I know you guys, Sam, current coach, Coach Hughes, you're retired, but it's as a young coach for me, that is the exciting thing to see with guys playing in college that either you coached against. I've been on the same practice field with joint practices and stuff like that. That was a first for me. So that was really cool this weekend. I was super excited. So with this, and I looking at both of these games, Grayson did a great job. Believe me, I was up, drinking my Sam Oktoberfest, watching, them beat up on Kansas. But the answer here is really Sam Howell. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's actually left off, exactly where he stopped. In the Temple game, in the bowl game that he had, he threw for, I think it was 73.5% completion percentage. That was the exact same completion percentage, but 1 yard more that he threw from against Syracuse. Talking about getting back on the same page. and you know exactly who he's playing against. A tough Syracuse team. Stephon Thompson from Vance High School led the team in tackles. So you know they had a quality defense, and they actually held him in check early on. But he really showed his moxie against a tough Syracuse team that's going to be bowl eligible, provided, in a normal season, if you will. But, him continuing to be on that high level, playing well with the weather not being so great is better than beating up on a sorry Kansas team.
Look, I mean, I love Sam Howell. He's a friend of mine. I talked to him. I actually coached him in the All-American game. Nice. So, we built a nice little relationship, but it's not even close. If we're talking about like last season, yeah, I agree with you. Sam Howell had the most amazing season. He's going to be an NFL prospect, the whole deal. But you're talking about week 1, Grayson Mccall beat Les Miles' Kansas team, even though Kansas is not that great, but it's in Kansas. It's a Power 5 conference, 38-23. The kid went for 11 for 18, 133 yards, 3 TD passes. Oh, and he had no picks, okay? Remember, Sam Howell actually threw 2 picks. He only had 1 touchdown, 2 picks. So that's not a very good quarterback rating on to his standard. Then he went 11 carries for 73 yards and 2 rushing TDs. My man had 5 TDs. Every TD he touched. He threw it, he's playing it, and then he ran it. You love talking about who would you take number 1 overall in the draft?
Who do I talk? Lamar Jackson.
Fantasy.
This ain't NFL. In Kansas, I'm sorry, Chris, I'm stepping all over your time. Hey, Coastal Carolina has as many Big 12 wins as Kansas does in the last 2 years. Get out of here with that crap. That is awful.
Grayson Mccall, he's a freshman, right?
Yeah, great. Sam Howell was a freshman last year, beating up on teams.
Yeah, last year. We talking about this year.
Kansas. It's a JV game.
I enjoyed watching Grayson Mccall even as a high schooler. I remember watching him as a freshman, and I knew that he was going to be a big timer, and he really showed his stuff. But Sam Howell as well. I mean, you can't say enough about him. But I'm just glad, again, that we've got so many great prospects from the Charlotte area that are getting it done on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
And to give both of those guys credit, they might be 2 of the toughest quarterbacks I've ever seen. Yeah. Both of them are like extremely tough, and that's going to help them to further their careers. Like I would want to play for those guys. When they're in the huddle, it reminds me of the program,
All I'll say, Sam, is that, and I love Sam. I mean, he and I he was one of my original rival recruit guys. He did what was expected, I think. Grayson Mccall was not even supposed to start. He was listed as a 3rd string guy going in. They stick him in as a starter. He probably didn't even know it. And then he scores every single touchdown they get at Kansas. They beat Kansas last year, yes. It was 12-9. They whooped Kansas. And you had to know Kansas was going to be mad because these are the guys that beat us from mid-major.
It's Les Miles, man.
Les Miles, yeah. Those Louisiana athletes ain't there no more.
Kinsey, what do you think? What do you think, Kinsey? What do you think?
I mean, Les Miles has never had great game management. I mean, Chick-fil-A Bowl, he literally lost the game. So, I mean, Les Miles, he could be a great coach. It's a toss-up, though. And I mean, Kansas, let's be honest, they've just been historically bad. I've got family in Kansas, they're KU fans. They don't even root for them on Saturdays. So,
that's what I'm saying. No, but Langston, let me
how is Kansas not able to out-recruit Coastal Carolina, who just became an FBS school? Like that,
or the JUCOs that are in Kansas. We watched last.
Have you ever been to Lawrence, Kansas?
There's not lots there. I have, yes.
I think I'd rather live in Myrtle Beach than Lawrence.
Oh, that's a strong.
Did you watch last year's U? They got that Independence. Kansas had all those guys that they have. How do you have more D1 people at a JUCO than you do at a place with a 4-year institution and a Power 5 school? They're just all those guys.
Basketball players.
Gary, you're not saying anything, man. What you got?
Kansas sucks. It's not a football.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
I hope that Jay Roth, the Cannon basketball coach, is watching. He's a huge Kansas fan.
That's okay. It's okay. They're bad. It's okay. No, but
they make up for it in basketball, though. My man Devon Dotson was over there. They make up for it.
Think about it. Coastal Carolina finished last in their division as
so
well.
Kansas.
I mean, that's a big.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. No, but Langston, real quick story, Langston, real quick. I know we're over telling them it's my fault. But no, so our first.
I'm glad you can admit it.
I'm sorry?
I'm glad you can admit it.
I know, I am. It's my fault. I'm fine with that. But, so first scrimmage, so mind you, we're taking up a new program, going out to Sun Valley, playing their Sun Valley Bowl. We got the old bus because, whatever. It takes us forever to get there. We're late. We're sitting there trying to get our stuff on. We've got 5 minutes to get ready. See Sam Howell over here just like firing spirals, with his teammates and sitting there getting ready to play a 2-quarter game time scrimmage with him. So we're sitting there thinking, okay, he's primed for a big year. He maybe play a quarter or a little bit of whatever. Yeah. He plays the entire scrimmage, I think, except for like the last drive. Yeah. He's out here running inverted veer. He's busting people up. Our guys thinking that he's going to slide or whatever. He's trucking guys, running guys over in a scrimmage against Hopewell in our first scrimmage. That's you talk about those toughness of the Union County quarterbacks. That showed to me, and I'm forever a fan of his, and seeing the professionalism he played with, regardless of who the opponent was, man, he's a great kid.
I'm a big fan of Sam Howell, and I think he's got one more year at Chapel Hill. I think they better enjoy it. Going after that. The private schools guys today, the CISAA Latin Christian Country Day, Providence Day, they decided to play football beginning October the 2nd. They're going to be in what they call the CISAA bubble. They're only going to play each other. I guess they're going to play like 6 games maybe. Your thoughts on that? Because they feel like they all have the same protocols, the same, they're going to do the same types of things in terms of safety. Your thoughts on them being in the bubble?
Awful. I don't like it.
Why not?
I think it's, I understand people wanting to play football, but again, there's a situation where everybody's pushing to play football. Don't give me a piece of, a piece of football that's nowhere close to what we're doing. If I'm playing teams 2 and 3 times and we're going to this drastic level of just, hey, we're just going to keep it here, play teams 2 miles from us, well, why don't we wait till the spring? I think in that situation, they're quietly admitting, hey, maybe this wasn't a great idea to go continue with it.
Testing? The only reason you be in a bubble is because you can test every day or every other day.
Well, they're not. I don't think they're testing, but I think they have similar protocols with the mask at school.
All live on Sardis Road out there near Langston.
The temperature checks and things like that. I think they think those are going to be similar. I'm saying what they're doing. I want you guys.
They can think all they want, but those kids go home and they interact with grandma and neighbors and whoever else, and then they come back to school. So it's not a bubble situation at all. So I just don't see the logic behind it.
Okay.
No, there's no bubble. There's no bubble there.
Yeah. I think that's always going to be the thing with high schools, and I think one of the big things about high schools is they cannot test, and that they could be kids that are asymptomatic that you don't know about. Whereas in college, at least you have an idea. And I'm like Gary. Depending on the time and situation, I kind of feel different about high school football in North Carolina. But I think that that we're doing the right thing. I tend to think that, given our numbers, even though the positivity rates are coming down. I just always think, I've given you guys an example before. I always think about that guy who dies of heat stroke. It happens once every couple of years. We have one guy died. It's in every paper, every radio station, every TV station. And I just would hate to see like 3 or 4 of those happen because of COVID-19, like the young man you talked about in Georgia earlier.
And that's the argument that people that want to play are going to make. A kid could get killed driving to practice, or a kid with heat stroke. But here's the thing you have to counter that with. Heat stroke and a car accident aren't contagious.
That's right.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
But you know what doesn't help, though? Today, the Observer, my paper ran a story about Mecklenburg County saying that a lot of the positive tests that had gone out were wrong because of an error with one of the and that gives weight to the people who say this is fake, and it's not fake, and I hate that because it does give weight to their arguments. But
what doesn't give weight to it is who's in the hospital.
Yeah, COVID is very real. I read about a young man in South Carolina whose father passed away from COVID, a football coach, and it's sad because you see these cases, and they're here, there, and everywhere, but they are here, there, and everywhere, and you made a point about your son. I look at my kid. I'm like, man, he's 20 years old and he's in the prime of his life. I would hate for something to happen to him. So it's a really, really, really tough thing. And like Gary said, I enjoy watching football this weekend, fellas. Saturday, I love the Charlotte game with App State, and I watched Clemson. I watched a whole lot of NBA. Sunday, I watched football bell to bell. I watched the Cowboys, Gary. Real happy about the ending. Is
Jason Garrett still there? It looked like the same.
That That should have been a 2-minute warning right there. Look at that.
I'm conflicted. I really am. I
think I got a question.
Yeah.
Did App State and UNC Charlotte, did they develop a rivalry? Did the little incident develop a rivalry?
I think it absolutely did. And I hope they continue to play. I mean, we had Coach Healy on the show. I think he's great. I think the App State coach is great.
He'll be gone pretty soon. He'll be gone.
Yeah, he probably will. But I like to see them play every year. And I think Charlotte does need to beat them, as he's told us on our show and he said publicly. But I think it's a great rivalry. I think it's a game that people will circle on the calendar, particularly if it's that kickoff game, and it'll draw a big crowd no matter wherever they play. They need to bring it to Charlotte now. So Charlotte's been up there twice. They need to come back and play it in Charlotte. All right, Sam.
Let me ask one more question.
Go ahead.
Regardless of what your political affiliation is, I think it was absolutely ridiculous that they didn't allow parents into these college games.
Yes.
Yeah. They didn't allow parents. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
They could have spread them out all over that stadium.
They did allow, some of the schools did allow up to 25 people, which I think was within the rules. But yeah, I mean, you can socially distance 300 people in 50,000 seat stadium. I do agree with that. But Sam, we're gonna put you in the one shot, my friend. What is on your mind?
I really enjoyed the show tonight. Especially behind the scenes stuff. People don't get to see this little chat that we have off to the side. These guys were ripping me earlier and just letting me have it. I love it. But I want to give a big shout out to my man Grice. He ran his first 10K today, and that's a pretty amazing job, man. Proud of you, and look forward to seeing what you're doing with the Thick Boys. It's hard to say Thick Boys Running Club. Big Boys might be a little better, but just sounds a little funny. But
that's why we did it, man. Big Boys are so unoriginal. You're gonna remember that.
You guys can't see what goes on. It's like a private chat on the side, and like we get distracted. You like see Gary kind of go like this sometimes, trying to look at it.
Sam's just upset because he can't recruit over there.
Kids, they want 2-minute warning. Are you ready for 2-minute warning?
I'm 100% ready for 2-minute warning. You have to bring a little happiness into it.
Grice, you hurt my feelings tonight with doom and gloom.
You guys were the kneel down. It wasn't a 2-minute warning. That was the kneel down. There were no more timelouts left. You guys were taking the knee. I was like, ooh.
I'm coming up with a better name for the 2-minute warning.
Sorry, guys.
I love y'all. You guys are the most intellectual.
All right, it's time for the post show that nobody can see yet because we don't have the
premium subscribers only
Patreon. We don't have it yet. I'm Langston. That's Sam. That's Chris. That's my girl Kenzie. That's Gary. That's Dale. We're talking Prep Charlotte. We'll catch you next week. Brand new time. Wait a minute. I almost forgot. I'm doing my kickoff. We got a brand new time next week. We're going at 7:00.
So you can watch Monday
Night Football. You can watch Monday Night Football. The Steelers are beating the Giants 16-10 to start of the fourth. So everybody switch over.
And my Washington football team's in first place, NFC East.
We're